Hello and welcome everybody to Light Body Evolution. And this is a new program here for us, coming live and doing some live healing with you guys here. And we've also invited people that have taken the Light Body Evolution course, and we're going to have a conversation about healing. So maybe I should start with, what is Light Body Evolution? So let's talk about energy healing. And maybe I'll give you a little backstory of what it really took to develop how I work energetically now. And really, I'm here to trick you into something, not teach you anything. So our ability to receive is hindered from all of the validation patterns that we seek outside of ourselves. And with working with the chakras and the energy field, what I noticed in my practice is that seeking validation led to shutting down from receiving. And putting ourselves first meant that we had something to share in life. So Light Body Evolution came through the development of really understanding the 144 patterns of validation and how our energy field is either magnetic or wobbly or attracts charge where we protect and defend ourselves, or we experience life as depleting. And what I found through working in the emotional realm, especially in the heart, is that when people begin to put themselves first, aka receiving, then everything began to change. So I learned about the chakra system, the 12 chakra system, also through the binary system in the African traditions. And then I got obsessed with the Toltec energy system and the path of the warrior. And all of these things came together to create a model of how charge collapses in our life. And I hope you guys can hear me here. I'm not really seeing any comments. Also, by the way, if anybody wants to come online with me here and talk, there is a Zoom link, and I can post it on my page. Right on. Let me post it on there for you guys, and then we'll get back to that conversation. Let's see. Here we go. Hard to talk and post at the same time, isn't it? So if you want to come on and talk about healing, here it is. I'm going to be here for an hour, and whether you come or not, I am probably still going to be running my mouth. So Light Body Evolution is a course that we spend 2 hours a week collapsing charge and developing the self. And how does that really work? And, you know, there's really a lot to it, and I want to present it here in a way that you can connect to it. So let's start with validation patterns. And let's take a look at what that is. So in our field, for example, if we seek love outside of the self, and we become concerned about things, do we really truly know what we care about and what we want to receive and share? And so I'm bringing you into the heart's code right now. And in the heart, when we put energy out into things, when we're looking to fall in love, right, or to create some concern to control the outcome to something that I am afraid of happening, or the fear of not having security, the fear of not having a deep connection, the fear of what you cannot control. And when we shut down from receiving in the back of the heart, then it's hard for us to understand when care is present. I think I heard like a popular song on the radio today, and it said that the woman in the story only knew if someone wanted her, not if they cared. So, the heart and the heart code, receiving care, receiving love, and sharing that love is what we're all really here to do. And there's many things that misalign the harmonics of really holding that care. And these validation patterns really take us from seeking something outside of ourselves. And the dialogue tells us that if we invest all of this care into a relationship, into the career, into this, then we're going to be cared about. And we may find that may not be the reality. And so the biggest question that light body evolution brings forward is literally, does giving equal receiving? And in my experience, the investment of things emotionally with the expectation of return can be a little problematic in your daily life, and can lead to a lot of problems. So we were all taught that giving equals receiving. And is it true? Is it true for you? And not just recently, but over many years, haven't really found anybody that really buys into it completely. And I think that the only reason that we think giving equals receiving on any level is because sometimes it's mutual. There's mutual benefit, and that's what we call sharing. So when we share energy, there's mutual benefit. When we give energy, it depletes us. And many people may listen to this and defend the giving, and I really bring that on the show, please. I would love to address all of that energy, because we've invested in so much giving that we get to a point that we may lose our own identity because of the investment. So the mind and the dialogue tells us that fulfillment, love, happiness, joy, all of those things are outside of us. And I think in the spiritual community here, we learn that all of those things are really inside of us. And learning to turn inside of us, I think, is really what self-development is all about. And I don't think awareness can be bestowed on anyone, but I think that it can be developed. And in Light Body Evolution, every week we look at all the patterns that are not really allowing us to receive. And, when do we really do that? When do we look at the patterns that block us from receiving, and even holding that concept that receiving leads to sharing who you are. Now, this is how nature lives. Nature does not invest and expect return. It receives to share. I often give the example of the fruit tree. What must the tree receive to share its fruit? And if this is how nature works, then it's really telling us that we've been living from emotional bankruptcy. And that's us investing outside of ourselves instead of investing in ourselves. And investing in ourselves is literally receiving. So we have these patterns of seeking our worth outside of ourselves. It may be shutting down in our heart because we don't feel worthy. It may be shutting down in our brow and doubting ourselves. Maybe shutting down in our crown and feeling abandoned and not taking any risk at all in life, and making our world smaller and smaller and smaller, thinking that we can avoid what happened in the past. And I think that really is one of the big things. Can you avoid the past? Does that work? Or is it literally a lie where the mind says it'll be different this time, you won't be hurt? So in the Toltec traditions, the dialogue is not our friend. And I usually tell my clients and people in the course here that that it really doesn't like you. It doesn't really know who you are. It doesn't really care about you. It wants charge. And charge attracts charge. Like attracts like in our emotional world. So when we protect and defend ourselves, then we literally have to protect and defend in the world. And when we deplete ourselves and feel victimized in a situation, we keep attracting the same energy of depletion. So I want to bring everyone that is here or that may be here at some time quantumly to your breath. And notice that you don't inhale and then inhale and then inhale and then inhale and then inhale. You inhale and exhale. And this is the pulsing that we all share. This pulsing is health in nature. This pulsing is when the alignment magnetically is verticalized and fractalized and pulsing, receiving to share, operating functionally in the environment through the symbiosis of receiving and sharing who we are. So we have validation patterns to work with in light body evolution. That is the 144 patterns of just ridiculousness, seeking fulfillment outside of ourselves, having for it to be perfect, seeking mental validation. That's always a fun one. So we are moving from these validation patterns to the awareness of what we would call shareable patterns. And shareable patterns start with receiving and sharing. There's no investment here. The investment is in the self, and the expression is also of the self. So receiving and sharing is a natural, harmonic reality of the breath. And when we deepen the breath, of course, we deepen our connection within. We slow the heart rate and open up the visual reticuli within ourselves. And we begin to pulse. So in the universe, when energy's healthy, it's pulsing. When it's not healthy, it's charging and wobbling. And this wobble is really, really quite interesting. I want to describe the wobble in your life as your big emotional problems. And, you know, in the course, I have you read your own energy. And in this reality, I would like you also to read your own energy. So asking your heart for two numbers, 1 through 12, for the biggest effing problem in your whole reality can be a place to start. And the coding is binary. And usually, and not usually, all the time, when people read themselves, it's exactly as they say. And in light body evolution, the only thing I truly teach you is how to read the code and the psychology of how energy collapses and how awareness is developed. So we have validation patterns and shareable patterns. And what really ties it all together is your vibrational body. And so your physical body is this 5-pointed star. And in the universe, the 5-pointed star represents harmonic resonance. Now, these 5 frequencies, and let's just say your 5 appendages, your hands, your feet, and your head. If we put the arms out, you're a 5-point star, Da Vinci, anybody. And in music, that is beautiful. And that sounds like, let me see if I can play it for you. It sounds really, really beautiful. So here's what we sound like. So that 5-pointed star sounds like that. Now that is our physical organization of our physical body. And for about 15 years, I had a Thai massage practice in Texas. And, geometry, when the body gets out of that 5-pointed star, you can have lower back pain, you can have upper shoulder problems, you can have jaw issues, you can have all kinds of stuff. So getting the body to harmonically align in that position and work with itself is a really big deal. But your emotional body has a different geometry. And your emotional body geometry is a 6-pointed star. And that sounds more like this. So a 6-pointed star represents integration. And I think that's why if our feelings are charged, and I mean when I say that, protecting and defending ourselves or feeling depleted in the situation, that they're not very functional. And adopting this idea that we should avoid them is not hard to figure out, that the dialogue, developed that very easily. Because when the feelings are unintegrated, then they're not that functionally shared. And what do I mean by that? For example, do you share judgment with people? And if you do, how does that go? Do you share control and try to control people's realities? And if you do, how does that go? Try sharing resentment. That's a fun one, right? So notice that our feelings unintegrated don't really feel that shareable. And so awareness is what ties it all together. And awareness geometrically is a straight line. And this straight line creates a whole circle. And you probably heard me talk about scalar waves here before, but I'm going to talk about them in a different way. I'm going to talk about the scalar waves of your emotional body that form that 6-pointed star, or form a deformed part of the 6-pointed star for where you are emotionally in certain states. Now, when it's completely formed and you're integrated, then you're actually in your light body. The other deformed and the polarized or the wobble is literally out of geometric alignment, and we're going to call that your pain body. Now, everybody got a pain body. I want to introduce you to it. Rejection and resistance is your first teacher in the pain body. And what do we learn through rejection and resistance? We learn to accept the self. And without rejection, how would you really know what it is to appreciate things? So here's my first duality. And to truly understand and accept, which, sounds like it should be easy, right, you guys? But of course, it's not. Accepting things is probably one of the hardest things that we ever face. So appreciation and acceptance comes through the understanding and going through your rejection and also your resistance. Notice the mind thinks that if we don't accept something, it means something. And it does. It usually means bitterness and feeling stuck, instead of accepting what it is and going through the feeling. So this is where the warrior process really opens up and comes forward. And the warrior faces and uses the tool of harmony through conflict. So facing things is a big part of this process. So we have the validation patterns, the shareable patterns. We have the emotional charges. And now we have to talk about gravity. gravity is this really interesting thing. And when I first started studying gravity, one thing you discover really quickly is that there is no working theory of gravity on the planet, or at least an accepted one. And, Einstein's theory of gravity was pretty straight on, but there was some missing information. And in our modern age, even though maybe the powers that be haven't caught up to it yet, it is available for us. And there are definitely some awarenesses out there of what gravity is. And so what I have learned through this process is that gravity comes through self-organization. And identifying the disorganization in your life leads to literally creating an awareness field to get organized. Now, avoiding the disorganization has done nothing for you guys, okay? And nothing for your clients, people out there. And you know this because you've seen it, because some people think they're smarter than our reality here and learn really quickly that maybe I don't understand how it works exactly. So let's get really, 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 really clear here. Our magnetism has to do with how we're organized. And when we get organized, we get magnetic, okay? We pulse. We feel good, okay? They've done plenty of studies of the brain and its magnetism, the heart. And one thing we cover in Light Body Evolution a lot is brain coherence, heart coherence, and field coherence, and how those work and how they all work together. And charge creates through stories that we tell in life, stories about I'm going to be successful when this happens, I'm going to be loved if, all of those things. We begin to develop coping mechanisms in life to go through things and avoid things, but continually question the fulfillment of life. So in our magnetics, when we're not vertical, we tilt to one brain or the other. If you're tilting to the left brain around a certain situation, your mind is trying to figure out everything. I will fix every part of this. If it is tilted to your right brain, you're like, why does this keep happening to me? Why? Why does it keep happening to me? And so the wobble can go back and forth. So in that wobble, you can go to the extremes of trying to figure everything out. Sound familiar, you guys? Or crying to, why do I attract the same thing over and over again? Also maybe sounding familiar. So when we get organized, we verticalize our energy, and receiving is possible. So when we charge situations, it blocks our ability to receive. And, that sounds so simple, doesn't it? But it's very, very true when we are living in a story. Notice your body doesn't know the difference if you're in a situation vibrationally, like your life is threatened, or not. And if you live with anxiety, depression, all of those things, your body doesn't know the difference if you're in those situations or not anymore. And the production of endorphins are affected, the way the nervous system is affected, the way that your heart feels and how you feel. Also, your support and immune system so tied to the heart's harmonics. And our health. So our magnetism is something that we can work on right now. So this is a live healing show, and I don't see anybody showing up to play with me. So I'm going to do my own healing. And so I'm going to work with the biggest issue in my field today, and I'm going to read it in the code here. And okay, so let's take a look. 4 and 9. So the heart and the 9th code up there. I'm going to read it, that seeking love or connection outside of myself leads to feeling out of integrity. Or the fear that I'm going to do something wrong would be very similar to this. Or the fear that I'm going to make a mistake or not do the right thing. Okay, if I read the code backwards, we call this blueprinting in Light Body Evolution 9 and 4. It says that receiving my integrity leads to sharing care. And that's the big picture. I'm going to look at the emotional charge now. And these numbers are 1 through 9. I'm looking for where I'm charging it emotionally, and I got 4 and 6. And so this is the fear of victimhood. Okay. 9 and 2 for my omega charge. This is where the charge pattern ends. And I want to be liberated from judgment in the situation. So at this point, let's take a look at my heart's harmonics and the warrior's harmonics, facing those conflicts and being concerned versus care. So what is the difference? Is being concerned, does that mean you care, you guys? Or does it mean you want to control the outcome? To truly care, I have to not be really truly be concerned about anything. And that's why concern never feels good. And so I think we're all taught that being concerned means we care, but I think we should reevaluate that because it's ridiculous. And if you care, then care. Concern is this idea that you know better than God for someone, like you know their destiny. And that can create a lot of problems. So back to me here. I'm looking for my 0 point. I'm looking for what I'm not receiving around this integrity of care. And so the letter T has come up. And so what we do here is we begin to stalk and search for T words for what I truly wanted to receive, but didn't show up. And this 0 point is also what the story promised me, that if I invested all this care, then I would be in integrity. So this is a common thing for men, should we be concerned about our partners, or should we really care and show up in that integrity and support and know that we're not here to fix their problems and all of that? So, all right. So let's see, T words. Tantrum. Ooh, I like this. Total, tonal, trust. Ooh. So notice I'm finding some words: transformation, transmutation. But what T words can I not find? Okay? What T words represent this pattern of feeling concerned and then questioning integrity, questioning honesty, all of those things. Terrible, tension, tumultuous. And after really going through those, the word toroidal comes up, and that takes me into my spin here, and I can feel it in my body. It's actually moving. So when we begin to find the 0 point, what we do is put our hands up and we call our pain body all of those deep feelings. And for me, it was that fear of being the victim and then judging myself and undermining myself over and over again. I think we can all relate to that. That's in my right hand. In my left hand, I'm calling the understanding of the love that I am, and also my ability to feel good and allow pleasure to be present, to meet the pain. And here we go. So when charge collapses, it collapses because it gets organized in a spiral pattern. And the Toltec assemblage point system is an energy system that's not your chakra system. It's where your magnetic field of your heart and the magnetic field of your brain intersect and make the outer coherence of your field. And I'd like to share the silence that comes now and the T words that are coming forward together, doing things together. Timing, nice, together. Transfigure, to transfigure something, to transcend, to translate. Okay, there's some great words here. And so in the space, I am calling for what I'm ready to receive and share now. And it's 11 and 2. And in the shareable patterns, 11 represents our ability to be empowered, our ability to literally embody. So the embodiment of my value meets this story that I should be concerned about my integrity instead of the integrity of what I care about. And for today's purposes, that really affected my toroidal field. And my 0 point brings me back to that totality, to that inner awareness. And I just want to share that with you now. I'm going to go ahead and breathe in that pink, receiving my empowerment, my embodiment rooted in what I care and the sharing of value. When you become concerned, you abandon the self. When you care about things, you embody the self. Ome Teato. So, for our purposes here, if anybody had any questions, this is when I would be really calling that forward. And so this is our first time, and this is going to happen every Tuesday at 6 p.m., and I want some guinea pigs in here. And so if you have graduated from my course, I want you to come on, and you know who you are. If you're in it now and you want to come and play and do some work and invite people into our little container of energy, then I want you to come also. So light body evolution is ran on the Quantum Resonance Institute website and is a resource for people that want to develop their healing practice by getting straight to the point and learning and remembering and developing your spiritual gifts. And I think that that's one of the side effects of the course, is that when we begin to receive, our gifts begin to open up, and they're not just spiritual, psychic gifts anymore in the sympathetic world and the sympathy world. They're more empathetic and spiritual gifts. And those can be really, 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 really shared. And I think quite a few of the people who have taken the course and dropped into their own empowerment and developed their process of how it works is really fabulous, and we definitely support that. And so if anybody has any questions, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on the website. And if you're interested in this, show up here, ask me questions. I love to talk about energy. I love to talk about physics, and healing is connected to physics. And our vibrational world is the world of our feelings. And becoming masters of your feelings literally become masters of your reality. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a night here. If you guys are commenting and I don't see you, my bad. I'm only seeing a couple things here, and I think I see Barb Bradley. Hey, Barb. How is it going? I'm going to get some brave souls to get on here. And so next week we'll have some guests and maybe a topic. And if you guys want to take the topic anywhere, we can. So light body evolution, live healing. I did my own live healing today. That was super fun. So thanks for spending this time with me. And thanks for everything. So, all right. We will see you guys next time.